Okay. And by now you all should be seeing my screen as well. I am already sharing the screen for you guys to view the PowerPoint presentation for module 3. Okay, great. So to begin today, or to start off module 3, I just want you guys to share with me so far, how have the past 2 modules empowered you? So here I have used the chat option to share with me how the past 2 modules have empowered you. Remember when we were starting the digital literacy program, I had mentioned that the idea of the module is to empower you to feel comfortable, to feel confident in using the internet, browsing online, surfing the web, however you choose to describe the activity, right? So I want to know how you guys feel after the past 2 modules. So comment on the chat. What's one thing, or if you have more than one thing that you have benefited from the past 2 modules? No one? I don't see anyone sending messages through the chat. So I'll just give it a couple of minutes.
Yeah, Miss Densis, I think other people are writing that message that I sent. I think what helped me a lot was were the areas of the password management, the moving around email, and cyber security. Some of the other areas I was already involved in, like banking and roving around, well, surfing the internet and using some of the social media, right? But those areas were to me very important, the ones that I mentioned before. But generally, I found even the areas for revision, I found those useful too. So I have to say, I really appreciated the first 2 modules, and I'm looking forward to this.
Thanks for sharing, Miss Young. Miss, I see we have
nice
two.
Because I named Young. I only borrowed the name Hyde.
Oh, okay.
Young. My name is Young. I just borrowed the name Hyde, and that's how I put it.
I'm just seeing double here. Thanks,
No.
Miss Young, I see your hand is up. Do you want to share something? If you do, Miss Young, just unmute your mic so that so we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. See, it's my only regret is that I didn't get to do module 1.
Oh, okay. Is there a possibility perhaps that we can share with you the sessions so that you can listen to it and look at the video recording? And in the event, we have the literacy program again, you can always join the session.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
For sharing the way that you have benefited or what you have learned from the past 2 modules, right? The past 2 modules were primarily the most important modules as it relates to learning, getting the knowledge about online activities, surfing the internet, and of course, cyber safety, right? So with that said, there is one more aspect that we need to look at to strengthen the empowerment that we have, or the foundation that we have set for modules 1 and 2, right? So considering that we are at this point in our lives where technology is so integrated in our lives, right? We need to understand why digital literacy is important, not only for the younger generation or for others, why it's important for us as senior citizens to become knowledgeable and skilled in a way to browse the internet and to be able to navigate these technological systems, softwares, devices, websites. Right? So it's becoming so integrated into our lives that we want to ensure we close the digital gap that exists between those that created or invented technology or the more advanced technology and the generation, what is called baby boomers, to close the gap between those two, right? And to do that, as I mentioned before, we need to be able to learn new things, to be able to learn what's going on the internet, what we can do on the internet, and of course, how to go ahead and coexist on such an open platform. Okay, so that is why it's important, and I take this opportunity to remind you guys that you made the right decision in enrolling for the digital literacy. And I can see it from your responses in the chat that even if it was one thing, a new concept or a new action, a new behavior, a new habit that you got from these modules, that's already a change towards closing that gap, digital gap that we had before starting the digital literacy program, right? So as I mentioned, there's one more thing that I want to add towards the foundation that we have built. And that is basically learning how to use or to make efficient use of our smartphone or the device that we have, right? The fact that you're already participating in this program means that you're already using some smart device, whether it's a computer, whether it's a laptop, a tablet, or a cell phone. So at this point, cell phones are so affordable. It's no longer only a luxury, right? At this point, having a cell phone is more like a necessity. We have identified the need to have a cell phone, not just to communicate through phone calls, but it's also become a small or a mini computer that we have on our hands, making access to internet so much easier, right? So for this module, what we're going to be looking at again is how to efficiently make use of our smartphone. What are some of the challenges that senior citizens would face when using smartphones? A lot of these smartphones, and by smartphones, I mean those ones that you can access the internet from, whether it's Wi-Fi or if you purchase data, these are considered smartphones or smart devices. So these at the beginning were created more for younger users that had more dexterity, had better eyesight, 2020 eyesight, right? So some of the challenges that are faced in the use of smartphone include, of course, the physical factors. As I mentioned, these smartphones are designed for younger users. They have high resolution displays, so bright. The fonts are smaller. They're designed in a way to display so many things and to be so busy. Smaller screens. And of course, the use of few buttons for various functions. So there are so many things you can do on your phone, but few buttons to carry out the same thing. And of course, there are the cognitive factors. These cognitive factors include reduced visual abilities, less dexterity, and of course, the lack of confidence that some of us may have when it comes to using this smartphone device, thinking that it's too smart for us, right? So we're going to trash that away, the fact that we're not feeling confident, and learn how to utilize this device and configure it for our needs, for our use. Okay. So first of all, we're going to be looking at making your device easier to use. The first thing that we want to look at when we have our phone or a tablet, we're focusing more on these mobile devices, right? Computers and laptops are a little bit more different when it comes to the setting up of these devices for your use. But here, we're going to be focusing again on phones, your cell phones or your tablets. So the first thing we want to look at when working with our device is the settings. So when it comes to the settings of our device, this is where we have various categories on different aspects, functionalities of our phone that we can manage, right? So it's like if you purchase a house and you determine the color that you want to paint your house, what furniture you want to place in your house, the security that you're going to put on your house to protect it. And so there are different aspects of your house that you arrange to your own liking. That's the same way the settings on your device works. So there are different aspects of your device that you can adjust to suit your need. So right now I'm going to show you, I'm just going to display here a quick walkthrough of a device's settings. Okay, and you will be able to see the different categories of settings that a device may come with. Off the bat, again, just a reminder, the settings that you will see here may differ slightly from your device, But the concept is there. All devices have a settings space, has their settings functionality where you can browse the different categories of settings that you can manage, okay? But just as an example, I will show you the settings are found in this device. So first of all, a quick way to access your settings would be through this wheel at the top, right? I just scroll down this screen and you will see this settings wheel at the top. So you just tap on that settings and it will lead you to this view. So here you can see the different categories of settings that your phone comes with. So it speaks about software updates, your battery and device care. It looks at privacy, security, connections, display, all kinds of settings that you would think of. So here we tap on the settings labeled connections, and you see the different connection settings, right? What relates to Wi-Fi, to your Bluetooth connection, mobile networks, and of course you have more connection settings. And these settings would have sub-settings that you can look at and see what modifications, customizations you can do on these settings. So oftentimes these will lead you to other settings that you can manage on your device. So again, this one in this example is displaying wallpaper settings, what it is that you want displayed as your wallpaper or the image behind or the image on your device. So again, as I mentioned, you will see the different categories of settings on your device, right? So we have display, wallpaper, home screen, lock screen, security, location, Google services, and the list goes on. So before you go ahead and customize your settings on your device, I invite you to just go to your settings wheel and see what all you have. Get familiar with your device, see what kind of settings it allows you to manage, navigate through these settings. The only way you're going to break a phone is if you take something, you know, if you drop it or if you take something and hit it. You will not break it by just browsing these settings. So go ahead, look at these settings and see what they're about. Right? Sometimes you might not need them, but familiarization with your device is the first step. So once we have become familiar with these settings, there is one important setting, of course, besides the security settings. That's the most important one that we need to look at, the security settings. That's the one that we had spoken about in module 2. Setting up your lock security, either a password, a PIN, using either your fingerprint or your facial recognition. That's one of the important settings that we need to look at, right? The other setting I invite you to look at is called the accessibility settings on your device. Okay? And to find accessibility settings, you go again through your settings, the wheel, to view your accessibility settings. These accessibility settings is mostly available, it's a feature available on your device for visually impaired people or individuals that may have auditory problems. So it's available. Again, it's there only if you need it, right? But you will notice that it does help a lot in terms of making your phone or your device easier to navigate, more understanding to use, and of course, less complex, less busy. So at this point, I want to share with you what are the options, what are the features that the accessibility setting offers. And you will see some differences when we activate these accessibility settings. So again, we will go to our settings wheel at the top here. And we will look for the accessibility settings on this device. So in this device, again, it may be different on yours. It outrightly says accessibility. Right, so this is the option that we're going to use. Let me just bring my laser. Under accessibility, this is the setting option that we will select. Okay, so under accessibility, let me just go back here, sorry. Under accessibility, these are the different features available or settings available for this device, right? So it enhances visibility, it assists with hearing issues, and of course, with interaction and dexterity. So these are the subcategories under accessibility. And in this case, we will browse through the visibility enhancement. So in visibility enhancement, we will see different settings that will improve the visibility on our devices. So we have from contrast theme, we have color inversion, color correction, magnifier window, and of course, font size and style. So these settings vary from device, of course, but most of them are quite standard. So here now is the hearing enhancements. If we look at advanced settings, there are, of course, additional accessibility settings that are not listed in the original categories. Okay. So here again, we just navigate throughout the different settings under accessibility. So from the onset here, I will show you an example on how to improve the display of your device. So you have the option to navigate or to choose from a light display to a dark mode. And here I selected dark mode, and you notice how the view of or the display on your device changes. We can also adjust the brightness of our device. If it's too bright for us, especially if we're using it at night, we can reduce the brightness of our device. We can select adaptive brightness, which will automatically adjust when it detects a darker setting. And this is a setting that I want you guys to see if you have on your device, right? This is called the easy mode. So the easy mode, let me just select the easy mode here. Okay, so the description here reads, it's a simple home screen layout with bigger on-screen items, a longer touch and hold delay to prevent accidental actions, and provides a high contrast keyboard for better readability. So does this sound like something you want to adapt to your device? If it is, you can always toggle the easy mode on, right? So I would just select here to turn it on, and notice how different my display is now, right? So the text itself is bigger. And if I look at my home screen now, you will see how different it looks from the original view that I had before turning on the easy mode. So I'll go back to my home screen, and now you can see how all the text, the icons itself as well, are bigger in display. So this is the easy mode. It automatically adjusts it to make it easier to read, to see, and to operate. Okay. So if it's something again that you want to try out, go into your settings and look for easy mode or the accessibility settings to customize the device to your preferences. Okay. Any question regarding accessibility settings? Please let me know if there's any question.
Everything. Yeah.
No questions, guys? If not, then we'll just continue with showing you again the different settings that we can use. We can modify to make our devices more
That's why
right? Okay. So one of the first things you want to look at when modifying your settings, of course, is the display settings, right? So using the easy mode is just one way of modifying your settings, right? It's more of a standardized customization of your phone. No, maybe the easy mode is not for you. You don't really like the display that that setting provides for you. You can always go to modify your display settings to what you like. Okay. So to go to display settings, again, what we're going to look at here is, take for example, changing the font size of our phone, of the text of the device that we are using. Right? So again, settings. We go to our settings to change these customizations.
To make your font size bigger or smaller on an Android device.
This one has a voiceover, so let me just increase the volume for better audio.
You want to go to your phone or tablet's settings first of all. So you can quickly access your settings from your menu here. You look for the wheel, and that would be our settings. Once in settings, we will look for accessibility. So scroll down a bit, and here it is. I select accessibility, and that gives me different settings within accessibility too that I can manage here. So I want to look for anything related to font size. Okay, so in this settings, it has it under visibility enhancement. So again, it depends on the device that you have. In this case, it is under visibility enhancements. So I will tap there, and then I look for this setting related to font size and style. So I scroll a little bit down, and it is right at the bottom where it says font size and style. So I select that. And here what it does, it gives you a slider to choose your font size or a size that you think is your preference. So I will slide here. And as you go sliding to the different points, you will notice that the font size increases. Okay. So once you get to the point where you think the font size is appropriate for you, you can leave it at that point. So I will leave it at this point, and you can also change the font style of your display. So you have different options here. I will leave this one that is selected, so I go back. I am satisfied with the font style, and I exit the settings. You notice that the name displayed under the apps are now larger than what it was before, right? So this is how we make font sizes bigger or smaller on an Android device.
Okay, guys, so that again is just a display on how to proceed with, or if you want to change the display settings of your device related to font size and font style. Okay. Mr. Rodney, I see your hand is up. Let me know if you have a question.
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I cannot find that whole thing that you are explaining just now. I cannot find how to get into it because I went to accessibility, and this is I'm on an Android phone, right? I have vision. I don't know if that is what you're talking about, but I didn't see visibility. I did not find
vision would be the category.
Sorry? Vision would be the category.
Right. So it's something related to vision, visibility. It would be similar.
Okay,
It would not
okay.
have the same.
Okay, that's it. I missed the vision altogether.
Okay.
So now I have to I go to font and screen zoom and high contrast fonts, high contrast keyboards. That's what you are dealing with, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I suppose I'll just pick it up from the review that you sent afterwards, no?
Right, right. As I mentioned, feel free to try them out. There's nothing wrong that you can do with the settings, right? Perhaps you just put a wrong setting, but we could always revert that back.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yes, so guys, as Mr. Rodney had shared, the settings on your device might be slightly different. It will not be exactly what I am showing here, but most of the smart devices right now have it. So the possibility of you not having that on your phone is very, very small. Okay. So that again is just a demonstration on how to change your font size to your liking. If you don't really like those small fonts, you can always change that too. Okay, guys. So one more thing that we can look at for enhancing or improving the use of your smartphone for your benefit is, of course, the zooming in and zooming out. How do we zoom in and zoom out on our phone? Whether it's a picture we're looking at or it's a website we're browsing, right? So if it's information we're reading, we have the ability to zoom in and zoom out. Pretty sure a lot of you already know about this functionality, but in the event any of you do not know how to, I will just again show you a short demo on how to zoom in and zoom out on your device.
Pinch to zoom can be used on multi-touch devices, and it replaces having to select a magnifying glass or zoom function and allows you to narrow your view with more accuracy.
Okay, so that was pretty much all there is to zoom in or zoom out using your device, right? Using the pinch to zoom on your touch screen. I'll just play it one more time.
Pinch to zoom can be used on multi-touch
guys
devices,
to-
and it replaces having to select a magnifying glass or zoom function and allows you to narrow your view with more accuracy.
Note as well that your devices, again, in accessibility settings, you can look for the magnifying feature, right? That one allows you to magnify a small window over the text that you're reading to help you, of course, be able to see clearly, bigger, or to better understand what it is that you're reading. So it has the magnifying setting as well. You can use that, but it's easier to just use the pinch and zoom option on your touch screen. So that would be the zooming in and zooming out. Okay. So one other thing that I want to look at when it comes to using your smartphones, besides the settings that we have access to, the different features under accessibility, we also have the ability to take care of our device, right? Because of technology, so many things are upgraded, whether it's the software, whether it's an application, whether it's the storage size. Every time a new version is released, it's better than the previous version, right? But not necessarily saying that what you have is no longer functional or is no longer usable, right? So many of us don't have the ability to be buying a new phone every time or every year. So how do we take care of our device and make it last longer? Using it as much as we use it, right? So here we're going to be looking at taking care of our devices. So one question for you guys, think about it. When last did you restart your phone? By restarting, I mean powering it off, turning off your phone and turning it on, or selecting the restart option on your phone. When was the last time you did that? Personally, it's not a habit that I have, right? But
They actually, Miss Del, I did it this
go ahead,
morning. I had to do it this morning.
You were
And
forced to do it.
Huh?
You
The
were
reason,
forced to do it.
the reason was that my mails were not coming in, so I just restarted it, and then the emails came in. I don't know why that happened, but I had to do this.
Yeah, quite often.
So Yes, I mean, those are reasons, like as Miss Hyde had mentioned, had shared, you are forced to restart your phone for different reasons, right? So why is this question?
I did mine.
Miss Olga, you're sharing?
I'm sorry?
You're muted, Miss Olga.
No, I was on data because my Wi-Fi BTL just finished my Wi-Fi from yesterday. We didn't have, so with my
Okay.
data, I'm just going in and out. So, but I hope it's better now because they just left.
I hope so too.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Olga. So yes, guys, why is this question important, right? Sometimes we don't see it as necessary. I mean, we just kind of, as long as we have battery life, we keep using our phone. But determining how often we restart our phone really does help with our device care. We should restart our phone at least once a week. At least once a week, power off your phone and have it restart, or just power it off and power it on again. Why is this important? Because it helps your device to retain its memory, right? And basically, it also helps to prevent crashes or to reset different settings that we had started working with. It also allows it for it to run more smoothly and of course to prolong battery life, right? So in essence, what it does is, you know how when we're working on our phone, we open Facebook and then we go to Instagram and then a message comes in through WhatsApp and we open WhatsApp and then a phone call comes in and we open the call icon. So we have so many things happening in the background. You know, do you know how to close your applications, like actually exit out of the applications? A lot of us don't have the habit or don't practice the habit of doing that. What we do is we just navigate from one app to the next. So again, what happens, these applications are still working in the background because you didn't exit them, you didn't close them off. So with all of that happening, your device collects memory, what we call cache data or residual memory, residual data. And that in itself takes up your storage or your memory space. Right? So by that, it's kind of like garbage. So with that garbage, your phone does not perform optimally. By restarting your phone though, that cleans off any background, it exits out any background application that you did not exit. It also cleans off your devices from any leftover commands that were performing in the back end when we were navigating through our applications, when we were deleting or downloading apps. So it does all of that. It just refreshes your phone and it prepares it to perform as best as it should. Right? So that's basically what a refresh on your smartphone does. It helps it to clean off or clear it of any background trash that it may have accumulated during its use. Mr. Rodney, I see your hand is up. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, what is the difference between that is the restarting regularly or the using the device maintenance on the settings, no? Because I do use that often enough also to optimize, and I was just wondering if you could make a distinction between those two activities.
Okay, so the device, I'm assuming you're speaking about the device care setting on your phone.
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, so the device care setting on your device basically looks at your storage. So it looks at more specific settings that can help the life of your device, right? And it's looking more specifically at the battery life, your storage, your memory space,
Right,
if I'm not
right,
mistaken.
right.
Right. So with the device care, that's more giving you more of an active role in maintaining your device performing optimally. Right.
Okay.
So, however, while your device is doing that, it's still creating trash in the background. Right. So those are things that you really cannot see, and your device does not specifically look for that when you select device care in your settings. So with the restarting or the refreshing of the phone, that helps to take care of the background trash for you without having to actually go and look at these, the background trash specifically. Right, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Again, the device care is looking at specific categories, while the restart helps in the background to clear off or to ensure your phone is performing optimally. Right. So with the device care, as an example, when you restart the phone, Miss Pa, you have your mic is on.
I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I have something to ask you about the software. When I tab software, it automatically stopped
Software.
in the settings.
Okay. So software in your settings, right?
Yeah.
Look at your device's operating system or the brain of your system.
Uh-huh.
So it has different settings in there that you can look at. The only, if I'm not mistaken, the only activity you can perform under software would be like a software update.
But then I don't understand. Should I have to download, or that thing is, it come in the phone, it's in the phone, and but then I accidentally went into the picture and it sent me to how it said again, restart the phone, it said, because the memory is full. So then I'm not so sure where to go and restart, but then I accidentally tapped that software thing, which is, I don't know of. If you could give me some little bit of idea about it.
Okay, so you said the software, it stopped working? Can you still access your phone?
Yes, it now work in my phone. I tab it. After that, it comes, software has stopped. It says on the screen, and that's it, and it stopped. It now work.
Software has stopped. The only thing I can think of is, since you mentioned storage, it did not perform the proper update on your device, because again, an update requires the appropriate amount of storage. Right?
Oh.
If there's any option, I really don't want to guide you the wrong way if I'm not sure which setting you had selected, because then there is, okay guys, good, as a good example, right? There's a difference between restarting your phone, which is powering it on and powering it off. Sorry, back way. Powering it off and then powering it on, right? And there's also a setting on your phone that says reset device or reset phone. In these two options is when you go to your settings to reset your device, that means you're going to factory reset. You will remove all settings, all apps that you had installed, and it will make it brand new the way it came, with just the basics, right? So you're erasing everything that you had done before, including, it could include your files if you don't have any backup, your messages, your pictures, your images, right? So be careful. When I say restarting or refreshing your phone, I'm just referring to powering it off and then on, not going through your settings to do that.
Okay.
And yes, that could erase all the
Okay.
things and the applications that you may have.
Well, all right then.
Yes, Ms. Ba. So all I could suggest right now is do the restart on your phone, the refresh, powering it on and off, and see what notification or what alert you get upon turning it on. Right, so
I find it.
That way it will, we can know for certain if it's a factory reset that we're trying to do or just a refreshing of the device.
Okay, here is the restart and the power off and the emergency mode. Thank you, Miss Delcy.
You're welcome, Ms. Fa. So that again is what helps you to just refresh your phone. So you can use that one to perform that.
Okay. Well, that's a new chapter for me.
Yes, and there are so many other things, but we just do the basics, right? To start off.
Thank you.
Taking care of our devices that way. Okay. Any other questions regarding the maintenance of our devices? Miss Olga, please.
I don't know if maybe Mrs. Hyde can help, but with this, I was an Android and I still love Android phones, and I'm struggling with this phone, this iPhone. But it's like I find that I would like to close off a whole lot of applications when I'm through with them and then just move on to the next. But it's like I keep so many of them open, and then all of a sudden I say, oh, yes, but maybe I can do this. But it is not as easy to close them as on Android. I don't know if there's a special button I'm missing or something.
To exit off your, to close off your applications, right?
Like to close off the application, and then let's say if I open about 3, 4, 5, and then I just want one, and I want to close those off, and I kind of I'm struggling for that button to, like in Android, it's so easy.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know if there's a tip or something to do that. Maybe Mrs. Hyde found, and Marge, and maybe Miss Pitso, maybe they found the key.
They would probably know how to exit these apps. I can, let me just hurry Google here.
If not, maybe next session or so, somebody might have that answer. Thanks.
Okay. I'll have the answer for you.
All right, thank you.
So I already found it, but okay. Noted, Miss Olga. Mr. Rodney and then Mr. Luke.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ko. You know, there is this situation which all of us face, I do believe, of clearing up pictures and videos that come to us, no? Like sometimes daily you could get as much as 6, 7, 8 good mornings and how are you today, etc. and whatnot with within pictures, and then also there are videos that come in likewise, and these tend to accumulate. I have been trying to clear off these, but it's a long task as far as I can see. I don't know if there's a shortcut to doing this, because there are some that I'd want to keep, and then there are others that I really have not much use for. And is this an important activity in terms of the improving the performance of your device, or it isn't something to worry about?
Okay. Your question is if it's an important thing to do to perform for the performance of our devices. It is something important for us to do because these images, videos, they are storage hoggers. They eat up, or they use up, if I can put it that way, they use up our storage space, right? And our phones have limited storage space. Now, there is, of course, the backing up of our images, videos, and that's something we're going to look at further down module 3. You can back up those images and videos, remove it from your phone, put it on the cloud. So that clears off your memory or your storage by default, right? At the same time, the cloud space that we may have might also be limited, not as limited as our phone's memory or storage. But it's a good habit for us to clean our gallery from unwanted images and unwanted videos, right? Because at the same time, when we are backing up these things, we want to back up things that we want to keep. So the cleaning up of the images and videos is just a good practice, a good habit. But if you do not have a cloud solution to back up your pictures or your videos, then yes, we need to clean up our gallery to clear up storage space, right? So that is one of the many actions that we can perform to save up space on our phone, right?
And sorry, interrupting you. Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, and what about the use of an SD card to store stuff so that it wouldn't be on your phone itself?
The SD card is another memory, what is it? A memory media, right? It's another way of saving files. But we also need to remember that an SD card also comes with storage space limitations, right? Also keeping in mind that not all phones have the capability of using an SD card, right? So what Mr. Rodney is talking about here is other ways of saving files, images, media, other than using our phone's memory space or storage space, right? So we use a secondary storage space. So SD cards are one way that we can use it. Sorry, an alternate storage method. And using the cloud, a cloud solution is another method is another secondary storage method, right? The idea is not putting so much pressure on our phone's storage space, because unfortunately, our phone storage space does not cater for a lot. And that's because all the applications that we're downloading, they use up space. The brain of the phone uses up space. Every time we update our phone, every time we update our apps, it's using up space. So the less we use our phone's memory space or our phone's storage space, the better it is. So yes, you can either use an SD card or another secondary storage method to help our phones storage space not be so limited.
Thank you, Ms. Ko.
You're welcome, Mr. Rodney. Mr. Ramos?
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Ko. My question relates to prolonging battery life. What is the best advice to give when charging your phone so as to avoid overcharging or not charging enough?
Okay, that's the very next thing after the turning on and off, turning off and on of our phone, right? Tips to maximize battery life. So when we purchase our phone or when we get our phone, normally the battery operates optimally. We can charge our phones for just once every 2 days, 3 days. But as we go using our phones, the battery life reduces. So how do we maximize our battery life? First of all, one way we can maximize this is by reducing our screen brightness when necessary, right? Sometimes we are in dark environments, maybe at night when we're laying on our bed, we turn off the light, or we just want to browse on our phone a couple minutes. We can always reduce our screen brightness. That consumes less battery. Setting your screen to sleep when it's inactive. Again, all these tips, you can modify these on your phone settings, okay? Remember, these are things that you can do on your phone settings. So you can set your screen to sleep when inactive. In other words, if you are using your phone and someone comes to have a conversation with you, after a minute or two that you're not using your phone automatically just locks. It's put to sleep. So that's less battery consumption. Turning on power saving mode. Power saving mode, again, this is a setting on your device that allows you to, in the background, your phone does certain things to help save the battery life. Right? And this is very important when, say, for example, you really don't have immediate access to a charger battery, and you feel like your battery will drain out eventually before you even get a chance to charge it. What you can do is turn on power saving mode. Power saving mode, in essence, it may turn off your Wi-Fi. Right? Your Wi-Fi is a battery draining function on your device. It consumes a lot of battery life, right? So power saving mode turns off your Wi-Fi or your data. Any internet activity turns it off. It can also reduce your screen brightness. And it puts some of your applications to sleep so that these applications don't perform any actions in the background. Okay, so that is what power saving mode does. It does a lot of tricks in the background to save your battery energy. Until, of course, you are able to get to a charger and charge your device. If you don't have, if you don't have the power saving mode, you can manually turn off location services, right, which is your location icon, turn off your Bluetooth, and turn off your Wi-Fi. These are, as I mentioned, these drain out your battery, these activities or these functions. One other thing that you can do is turning on your airplane mode. So airplane mode basically just, I want to say it paralyzes your devices so it doesn't perform any actions. With airplane mode, however, you cannot receive phone calls, you cannot receive messages because it turns off all your network services. You don't have access to either your BTL or your smart services. It turns off your Wi-Fi. It turns off your Bluetooth. It turns off your location services, right? So that is one way you can save battery life. And one other tip to maximize your battery life is let your battery run to 0%. Right? Why should we let our battery just run out of life and die on us, if we can put it that way there? Because that helps to train our battery to be able to recharge to 100%. Right? If we keep charging our battery every time it reaches 65, 75%, then the battery does not adapt to, or it doesn't get used to a full recharge. So what that does, it shortens the battery life. It's used to, okay, every time you use 25% of your battery, it's used to a recharge. So every time it reduces to 25%, it's used to a recharge. So the moment you do not recharge it, then it reduces its battery life. And the same thing happens with, if you have a laptop or a tablet, do not always keep it plugged in to the charger. Let the battery perform what it's supposed to do to provide you that battery life as much as it can. So draining out your battery actually does help your battery live longer. As to Mr. Ramsey's question on how to better, or any tips to help with charging your phone, what I recommend is to use the original device's charger. Right? So instead of using a generic charger, try to use your device's original charger. If for some reason you don't have it, that's fine. We can still use the generic chargers. It's just that the charging performance will not be as best as the original charger, right? The second tip that I can share is if you want faster charging of your battery, you can you can turn on your airplane mode. Right? Again, as I mentioned, the airplane mode just basically stops or paralyzes your device. So nothing is happening in the background. That way, your phone is just focusing on recharging. So that charges your phone faster, right? So some of us might do this, might engage in this habit. When we're charging our phone, we're still using our phone in the background, browsing the internet on a phone call. That, of course, reduces the speed of the charging of the battery, right? So again, these are just recommendations that I can offer when it comes to charging your devices. One last tip, and this is just in essence or in effort to reduce our electrical consumption, right? Charge your phones during the day. That way you can keep track of when your phone is fully charged and you can unplug it. Of course, this does affect your battery life as well. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, do not keep your phone always on the charger, right? So at night, we have the tendency of just going to sleep. Before we go to sleep, we plug our phones to charge, and we don't unplug that until we wake up the next morning or the next day. So our phone might have fully charged 3 hours ago. By keeping it plugged in, we're still not taking advantage of the battery power that it's supposed to give us, right? Again, tips that I can offer to maximize your battery life. Any other questions, guys, regarding your device and how to take care of it, maximize the life of it and the efficient use of your devices. Mr. Rodney, I'm not sure if you have another question or if your hand was raised from before. Please just let me know.
Actually, I have a lot of questions, right? But I know I ask you because it kind of complicated in understanding how you use your phone during the day if you have it on the airplane mode, and also how you use your phone if you turn off Wi-Fi when in fact you need Wi-Fi, you know, but you say here if not needed. And then the interesting one, of course, this is just a comment, is draining your battery to 0%. I've heard that before somewhere, and it makes sense now, but it just puts more burden on us to maintain this device. Maybe we should have just dispose of it altogether. I'm just just comments.
I do understand, right? But as I or as you very well mentioned, this is not every day. Right? I'm not saying just charge your phone and let it go to zero every time. But make it a practice, just like restarting your phone every once a week. Right? If you, for some reason, like many of us have Wi-Fi access at home, or we're spending so much time at home that we're always on the internet. As you rightly said, why would we turn it off when we're using it? Of course. But as I mentioned, these are just tips for maximizing battery life. No, and again, we can do this. It's just a practice. And it's not something that we're to do every time. Right? So turning on airplane mode, as I mentioned, that's just a tip for charging your phone quicker. If you're not in a hurry to charge your phone, you can always use your way to charge your phone. End of the day, it will charge, right? But again, as I mentioned, it's just, if for some reason you're in such a hurry, you can always turn on your airplane mode, quickly charge it to, I don't know, 30%, 40%, and then, you know, turn it off the airplane mode. And that would help. But do not get frustrated. Do not get frustrated. This is not what you're supposed to do. It's just recommendations that you can take into consideration to help, again, take care of the device. Right? But yes, Mr. Ron, I do understand your frustration. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you very much for understanding.
You're welcome. Miss Sheridan, I see your hand is up. Please unmute your mic.
Thank you, Ms. Delcy. I was just wondering if these tips apply to your laptop, to the battery life on your laptop.
Yes, you can apply these tips to your laptop as well, because your laptop has similar settings in terms of reducing screen brightness, putting your laptop to sleep when you're not using it. It has power saving mode as well. And of course, you have the option to turn on your airplane mode to reduce the battery usage, the battery consumption. And yes, again, because it's a mobile device, because your laptop, you can take it with you anywhere, it comes with its battery. And by allowing it to use up the battery life, it helps to extend, of course, the battery life that the laptop comes with. Right? So you don't have to replace the battery. Eventually it will happen, you know, wear and tear, like everything else that we own, a vehicle, even your house requires renovations every so often. The same thing with the laptop, right? It's not to prevent it from happening, it's just prolonging it from happening. Okay, it's just, again, taking care of our devices so that we don't have to change it or that we don't have to fix it so often. Okay,
Thank you.
other question, guys? Relating to taking care of your devices. Right? We all have these phones with settings, and it's something that we want to keep using as much as possible. Okay. If not, let me just jump into this other part of the session. And that includes, of course, our storage space on our device. Right? So we're running out of storage space. How do we free up storage space? Right? So one of the quickest ways, like if it's an emergency and we really need storage space, is to deal with our app. That's one of the fastest ways to clear up storage. And of course, deleting phones and videos. So we're going to first look at how we can free up space by managing our apps. So first of all, again, remember, our apps, the best way to manage our apps is through our Play Store or our App Store. Okay, so this is where we will see a list of all the applications that we use. The first thing that we can look at is deleting any app or any application that we do not use. And a rule of thumb here is if you have not used that application within the last 3 months, more than likely it's an app that you do not need. Okay, so if it's an app, again, that you have not used within the last 3 months and you need to delete an app, it's more than likely safe to say, well, I don't need this app anymore. You can always download the app again in the event the need comes up. Right? So you want to delete any apps that you do not use. Remove all photos, videos, or messages, even your messages take up space that you don't need anymore, right? And as to answer Mr. Rodney's question of whether there is an automated process that we can use to do this. Unfortunately, how to put it? Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure, you can be the judge of that, right? There is a setting that you can determine on how long you will keep specific photos or videos, right? The downfall to this is that it does not allow you to choose which ones will be deleted or removed. So the best way or the recommended way for you to clear up storage without you losing important videos or files is by you manually going into your files, your images, your photos, your videos, and choosing which ones to delete. Right, that's the surest way that you can do that, because that way you will know what you are deleting. When the phone deletes things automatically, you have no control of that. Okay. And of course, the other way to clear up space or free up some space is by backing up your photos and videos to a cloud service or using an SD card. Right? And I have here an example of a cloud service is Google Photos. And in case you guys didn't know, once you have a Google account, you automatically get Google Photos. right? So you have that. If you have a Google account already, which if you have a Gmail account, you have a Google account, you already have the Google Photos and the space to back up your photos and videos. It's a process that we need to, it's a process that needs to be set up for us to sync our photos and videos to be backed up. But nonetheless, it's there, right? And let me just browse here. Right now, Miss Hyde, I see your hand is up, but I just want to, yes. There is a demo that I want to show you guys on how you can go ahead and do that, right? It's quite easy and very important though. It's very important that we back up our data, which includes photos, videos, even your WhatsApp can be backed up. And that is important for one, security purposes, and two, we don't really know how long we're going to have our devices. We don't know at what point it can crash, at what point we can lose it. We just want to have that alternate option to retrieving our files, right? Miss Hyde, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Delsey. Can I just go back a minute to what you said about the deletion of apps that you don't use? For the iPhone, I wanted to ask, and I'm walking myself through something. I chose an app that I saw I wasn't using. So then it says remove the app, and I am deleting it now. And then it says deleting this app will also delete its data. Fine, so I delete. But then it says that it will still keep the app in the library. Now, does that mean that whatever data was on that app is still there, but in a library somewhere? And I'm not quite sure about that.
No, it does not mean, because deleting the app means you're removing it from your memory. I'm not quite sure. And again, I can probably bring you a more certain tomorrow, but library is more of an option available in the event you want to download it again, right?
So if I wanted to download it again, I could. Yeah, I could.
You could.
But when I download, if I were to download it again, would it mean that the same data which was on the app before is still there?
No.
No? Very good. That's what I wanted to find out.
Right.
So once you delete, you've deleted data as well, and you can't get it back. That's what I wanted to clarify. If you were to download the app again at some future point in time.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
There are apps that you can back up, and when you download, it downloads the data. And one of them is WhatsApp.
Right.
So if we back up WhatsApp, it's on the cloud, but if at some point we delete it and we delete all the data, when we download WhatsApp again, we can download whatever information we had backed up.
Okay. That's fine.
Yes, not all apps give us that option, but there are some that have that alternative.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good.
You're welcome. Yes, so guys, again, this is available in your settings. And I think Mr. Rodney was the one who brought it up. There is the device care settings as well. And that looks at your storage, right? That looks at your storage. And what I'll do is I'll prepare a demo on that for you to see how your device looks at your storage and analyzes, and it helps us to, it gives us a guidance of what we can do to clear up our storage, right? It doesn't necessarily cleans it up for us, but what it does, it identifies certain files that maybe are too large. And well, honestly, personally, when I download files, I really don't look at the size of the file. I just download If it's a video or a picture, really, I don't look at it. But your device can give you that information for you to determine, you know what, this is a big file. Do I need it? If not, we clean that off, we delete it, and we, of course, clear up storage, right? So again, I will prepare a demo on that tomorrow for you guys to go ahead and do that on your device as well. Not much skills is needed for that. We can go right into our settings and do that. Okay. So any other questions, guys?
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Delcy. It's sort of a related, but I don't know if this is the correct medium to request, but I don't know if anyone else has been receiving telephone calls from BTL. And in light of our 2 previous modules with respect to passwords and, personal information and so on being released or not being released, I had an experience last week and the week before, and I don't know if anyone else has received it, but BTL, they are calling to ask for general updated information. And I don't know if it's a legitimate exercise that they are to do. I have not yet gone into our BTL office here in Belmopan, but I just wanted to give a little heads up to this media. And as I said, I don't know if this is the correct one, but I just, based on the lessons that we're doing, I just figured I wanted to, just give everyone a heads up. They've been calling and asking for passwords. They've been calling for your address. They want to confirm your address, confirm, they actually, security questions. They wanted to confirm the responses to security questions, which I obviously did not answer, So I said to them, I'll go into the office to ask. Unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity to do that yet, but it's just something I wanted to alert the other members about, and just to know if there's anything,
Thank you very much. Yes. I know that they had said certain scams were going on. I wasn't certain what type or what method they were using, but from what you're sharing, again, as I mentioned earlier, a company would not be asking for such personal or security information over the phone, right? So I congratulate you for always turning on that red or the alert notification, in that that's not, it doesn't sound correct, right? It doesn't sound right. So you did well in not providing the information that you were requesting. The other thing that you can do, as you mentioned, and perhaps you haven't had the time to, is just verify with BTL. Are you performing this activity? Right? And if they say yes, and even if they say yes, and you don't feel comfortable sharing that information, tell them, is it okay if I go into the office and provide that information? Right? But knowing it's from a telecommunications company, and they are very aware of the cybersecurity landscape that we're operating on, for sure, that's not a practice that they would encourage, right? But thanks for the heads up. I do think that's a scam.
Yes.
But again, the surest way to verify is just to contact the company and confirm with them.
Thank you.
But thanks for the heads up. And I have not received any, and I am a Digicel customer, but I will be on the lookout for it as well. Okay, anything else, guys? I note that we are already at our time marker for 2:30. Not even 2:30, 3:30. Wow, time flies. So if there are no other questions, we will pick up tomorrow from, of course, clearing up storage, and we're going to be looking at some other functions or functionalities that we can turn on our devices or while we're browsing internet to again help us make the best use of our devices, right? Ms. Young, can you unmute your mic?
They'll say my charger has gone down to 21. And later on in the evening, I'll be doing another program. Should I recharge now? Because if I know that certainly would not take me out.
Yes.
For the next meeting.
If you're taking again the recommendation that I shared, draining out your battery, try to do that when you don't have such commitments. Right? So
okay.
That's a good thing you can do, Ms. Young.
Thanks.
Okay, guys. So that brings us to the end of the first day. Thank you again for your participation, for your engagement. I appreciate that. It lets me know that you are paying attention and that you are taking up the discussion seriously, because at the end of the day, it's just for our benefit, right? With that said, you all have a good afternoon. Keep enjoying the weather and stay safe, everyone.
Likewise, Ms.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Ms. School, thank you very much for a wonderful
you very
session
much.
today.
Thank you.
As
Thank
usual.
you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Ms. Delcy.